KIMS kit. The first question was regarding the issue of SD cards. So the first question was on the issue of SD cards and whether the SD cards are actually encrypted or not. My answer to that question is yes. The SD card is the information that resides in the SD card is encrypted, and therefore, if the SD card is going to be lost, nobody can be able to access that information unless you have the decryption key. So then the information actually inside the SD card is actually secure. The other question is on the archiving of the voters who have already voted. Yes, the system basically automatically archives any person who has voted. And archiving does not mean deleting. Archiving means that you are marked that you have already voted, and therefore this information, if we are even to avail it in the future, we can even tell you who has voted. The only thing we cannot be able to tell you who he has voted for who. But in terms of who has voted, what is his age, what is his sex, what is the sex, and the rest, that information can be provided. How effective is the KIMS kit in identifying? How did it, I think we all know, and with that we did not have any problem in 2017 in terms of identification. In fact, I want to confidently say that by 5, almost all the voters who had turned up the polling station had been identified. Maybe at that particular time we were also using a combination of the KIMS kit and the physical register, but in terms of identification, it worked very, very effectively. We never had any challenges, and in fact, you alluded to the fact that the problem is not even identification here. The problem is results transmission. That is what you said. So therefore, we did not have any challenge in as far as identification is basically concerned. Then the other issue was in the tender document, it was indicated that the technology will come with a mobile device management system. So is that mobile device management system there? My answer to that is yes. The mobile device management system is there, and you can be able to use it to poll all the devices that have actually been deployed for the purpose of this election. And we are ready to provide you with all the information regarding the kits that are going to be deployed. And therefore, you'll know which kits have actually been used for the purpose of identification. And not just identification, but also later on they are going to be used for the purpose of results transmission. Then the other issue is regarding are they going to also be real-time? There's going to be real-time connectivity or not? I wanted to restate the fact that I said that for the purpose of identification, the KIMS kit is going to work offline. But remember, the KIMS kit also has got 2 SIM cards. The primary SIM card and the secondary SIM card, which is basically the backup. This KIMS kit, in order for the MDM to poll them, they must also be accessible to the device. And therefore, the MDM will be able to poll using the connectivity. And therefore, you are able now to poll and say, this device is actually working, it's actually at this particular place. And therefore, the KIMS kit, and I also stated before that the KIMS kit will be used to transmit the turnout at a specific time. It cannot transmit when it's not connected. So it's going to be connected so that you can be able to poll and that you can be able to send some information regarding turnout. But in as far as identification is concerned, the KIMS kit is going to be used offline. Now there's a second question that basically followed that. Is the KIMS kit geo-fenced? And the other backup kits, are they geo-fenced? My answer to you is yes, because at the opening of the polling station, whereby the information in the KIMS kit is going to be for a given sector beyond the polling station. At the opening of the polling station, you use the QR code to lock the polling station to the 700 voters who are actually in that polling station. And therefore, the information that is going to be used for the purpose of identification is going to be the 700 maximum, or the 200, or the 19, whoever has actually been is in that polling station. So the Kim's kit is going to lock itself. It is going to lock itself to the 700 voters for that specific polling station. And therefore, all identification will be going through the 700 or the number of registered voters in that polling station. So that is how the Kim's kit is going to work. I think there was the issue of and also the backup kits. The backup kits also, you also asked whether they're also going to be geofence. My answer to is yes. Before you use them, still, when you bring the backup kit and you insert the SD card, the SD card, you still also need to use the QR code to lock yourself to the same 700 voters. So you are not going to go away from that. You are going to use the 700 voters in that specific polling station. In terms of a gazetted, registered polling station, I think at some opportune time, the Commission is going to gazette the number of voters in each and every polling station. That is going to be done. IEBC, can IEBC demonstrate what is being populated in the SD cards? I think this is something that the Commission can be able to deliberate upon and provide its direction on the same. But personally, as a person, I have no problem. I have no problem in stakeholders going to observe what is actually being done. Like I said, we have got a factory specifically for producing the Kim's kit. Even as we speak, there are people who are working there. We have not reached that stage of populating information into duplicating the SD card. But if that is requested, I'm sure the Commission actually, they are hearing and they can be able to provide direction with regard to that. I also wanted to, there was a question for me just to provide assurance that that everybody is going to vote if we are going to use this method. Yes, everybody is going to vote. Who is a legitimate voter is going to vote if we use the Kim's kit. So as long as you come with your identification documents and you present yourself there, because that is the only way we can be able to positively identify you. Like I said before, the default method is to use your biometrics, your fingerprints. But if it fails, you will still give us your identification document. We will take it, enter your ID number or your passport number into the Kim's kit, and it will retrieve your information. Once this information is retrieved, we can be able to see who is there. Remember also, there are people who do not have fingers. They don't have hands. So does it mean that they are not going to vote? They are going to vote because we are going to use that method to identify them. And once we identify, we can be able to see them. The picture is actually there, and therefore they will be allowed. They'll be allowed to vote. There was the issue of where there is no connectivity. What happens? I think we are going to talk about that in terms of results. But I wanted to let this meeting know that as a commission, we are not saying that the physical register should not be used. We are saying that if we are to use a physical register, it should be the last resort, whereby all the other methods have actually failed. And therefore, this should basically be the discussion. Thank you very much.
Yes, so I see the media is on this side. The case in the High Court is coming up on 18th of July for here in the parties hearing. But meanwhile, there are conservatory orders staying the decision of the Commission to use the digital, to use the fiscal. They'll use the digital register exclusively of the fiscal register. That's my understanding from Mr. Paul Mwangi and Mr. Oye. What we shall do as we wait for the hearing and determination of that case is the Commission then will proceed with the ballot printing, as well as printing the register for each polling station in terms of what we have in the KIMS kits, as we await that determination of that case or further deliberations. I don't know who went to court, but I'm sure the lawyers then can advise on the way forward the settlement. I think that will be the way out for this matter. We can move on to the next item.
There is one aspect you have not still handled, the issue of whether you can allow accountability and verifiability of the